Are you tired of letting failure discourage you? In today's video, we will explore how Stoicism offers a powerful framework for understanding and coping with failure. Lesson 1. Think about bad things sometimes. Starting with possible mistakes or setbacks, specify precisely. Think about what that may really look like rather than only vaguely worrying about failing at work. Maybe it's not obtaining a promotion, working on a project and making a mistake, or getting harsh comments. You will be better able to prepare the more specifically you can be. Remember that the objective is to fairly evaluate possible difficulties rather than to hyperbole or catastrophize. Consider what might fairly go wrong rather than what is quite improbable or far-fetched. See it occurring in great clarity. Imagine the setting, the persons engaged, the possible emotions you might have. Though it seems contradictory, this is important. It lessens your sensitivity to the failure, so less frightening and more familiar. One who has seen all the tragedies of life is more secure than one who has never gone through them. Visualizing failure helps us to sort of experience it before it happens. This helps us to be more resilient and ready both emotionally and intellectually. If you're anxious about not receiving a promotion, for instance, your strategy can call for seeking comments, looking for other chances for development, or changing your CV to investigate outside prospects. The act of planning itself counts more than the specifics of the strategy. It helps you to have direction and control. What stands in the way turns into the path. Reframing is mostly about this. It's about realizing chances from problems, setbacks as teaching moments. This behavior bothers some people. It is true that considering failure might make one uneasy, but development involves some suffering. Leaning into this discomfort helps us to develop emotional and mental strength. We grow better able to meet the demands of daily life. Sometimes thinking about negative things is more about building readiness than it is about living in gloom. It's about turning setback from an enemy into a friend, a teacher, a stepping stone. So welcome this approach. Commit it to your life, and see how you develop to be more robust, strong, and able of managing anything life presents. Lesson 2. Pay attention to what you can control. The paradox of control is about clearly separating our influence from that of others. Our thoughts, opinions, wants, aversions, and most importantly, whatever we personally do fall under our control. Our body, property, reputation, and, in a word, whatever are not our own actions, things not within our control. Our sense of control is mostly responsible for our difficulty with failure. Many times, we feel as though we control outside events more than we really do. We become annoyed, nervous, or even melancholy when these things go off course. The Stoics remind us that our attitudes, ideas, and behavior are the only things we really influence. All else is subject to forces beyond of our reach. This insight can be freeing. It lets us concentrate on what we can really affect by relieving the weight of trying to control the uncontrollable. The initial reaction to failure is to realize that the result was beyond of our influence. This does not mean we avoid responsibility. Rather, we realize numerous elements influence a result, and we only influence a small portion of them. Say you, for example, missed out on a job you were hoping for. The hiring manager's choice, the credentials of the other candidates, or the employment market are beyond your influence. You can, however, decide how you approach your job hunt, how you hone your talents, and how you ready for the next interview. Although the dichotomy of control defines exactly what we can and cannot control, it is important to recognize that there is a gray area, the sphere of influence. Though indirectly under our control, there are things we cannot directly influence. For instance, although you cannot control how someone responds to you, your words and behavior will help to shape their response. Though you cannot control the weather, your comfort can be influenced by your wardrobe. Look for these areas of impact when handling failure. Though the result is beyond your control, maybe you can affect the process, the individuals engaged, or the surroundings. By concentrating on these areas, you boost your prospects of future success and widen your influence. Clearly state the difficulty or failing you are running across. These are fully under your control, your ideas, behavior, and attitudes, among other things. These are things you can influence somewhat, but cannot directly control. These are events totally beyond your influence. Focus on the aspects of your life under your control and influence. Let go of what you cannot influence. The paradox of control promises not that you won't fail ever. Rather, you'll grow more robust, more flexible, and more at peace with whatever comes of events. Focusing on your controllable factors will help you to waste less energy on anxiety and concentrate more on constructive activity. You will start to show more calm, more efficiency. Recall that the aim is to control the proper things rather than everything. It's about matching your efforts to your power, embracing reality as it is, and bravely and wisely moving on. That is the Stoic approach toward failing. Lesson 3. Learn to accept things as they are. Accepting failure does not mean you approve of it or find happiness about it. It indicates you accept its actuality, exactly. You can welcome a setback and yet aim to make the future better or different. Acceptance does not indicate you do nothing and give up. Rather, it lets you respond from a place of clarity and serenity, rather than from denial or desperation. It's about responding deliberately rather than reacting rashly. Acceptance does not mean you discount or stifle your emotions about failure. One is free to feel depressed, annoyed, or disappointed. Acceptance is about realizing these emotions, not criticizing them, and letting them pass organically. Our anguish mostly results from our resistance to the failure rather than from the failure itself. Fighting reality brings tension, stress, and misery. Acceptance brings our minds into line with reality, therefore lessening this suffering. Acceptance helps us to see things as they are rather than as we wish they should be. This insight helps us to make wiser decisions and implement more successful actions going ahead. Acceptance lets us recover from setbacks. Acknowledging and learning from the past helps us to grow more strong and ready to meet demands of the future. Acceptance provides harmony. It lets us release the conflict, the opposition, the ongoing struggle with reality. Happiness and well-being are much enhanced by this peace of mind. Reframing is seeing failure from another standpoint. See it as a learning opportunity, a stepping stone, or a required component of development, rather than as a disaster. Acceptance is intimately related with the skill of letting go. Many times, our mistakes are related to expectations of success, of approval, of control. When we fail, these expectations are destroyed, and we battle to let them go. The Stoics counsel us to have low expectations and to be ready to let them go when circumstances call for them. This does not mean we abandon our objectives or reduce our standards. It implies we remain adaptive, flexible, and receptive to the flow of life. Your life will be calm if you want for everything to happen as it does, not if you seek for everything as you like. This calm results from releasing our inflexible expectations and accepting reality as it is. Acceptance starts the road of development rather than marks its finish. Once we come to terms with our shortcomings, we may develop past them and learn from them. Often, failure exposes our shortcomings, our boundaries, our places for development. Acceptance helps us to see these regions free from judgment or guilt. It helps us to develop, to get better, to flourish. Remember, a tree must shed its leaves in order to produce fresh ones. In the same vein, we have to come to terms with and let go of our shortcomings so that we could develop and forward. One may accept failure. Errors are okay. One can accept imperfections. It reminds us that we are developing, learning human beings. It motivates us to treat ourselves the same compassion and respect we would show a close friend. Treat yourself gently. You are waging the difficult struggle. One component of this kindness is acceptance. It's a consolation in the face of setback, a salve for the soul. One of the most deep and potent exercises is learning to live with things as they are. Though it's not always easy, it's always worthwhile. It lessens suffering, sharpens clarity, strengthens resilience, and offers peace of mind. Acceptance is not about allowing or endorsing a failure or giving up. It's about honoring reality, learning from it, and developing through it. It's about releasing expectations, savoring the here now, and treating ourselves compassionately and sensibly. Lesson 4. Grow good qualities and behaviors. Courage is the capacity to act despite fear. It is not the absence of dread. Often, failure generates anxiety, dread of trying again, fear of what others might think, fear of constant failing. Still, Stoicism encourages us to face our fear with bravery. Marcus Aurelius counseled, "Just that you do the right thing. The remainder is of no importance. Either cold or warm, weary or well-rested, either hated or praised." This reminds us that, not our worries, but our beliefs should direct our behavior. Start little to develop bravery. If you fear failing, divide your goals into doable chores. Every little progress forward is a courageous act. You will grow more confident and courageous with every stride. Resilience is capacity to recover from difficulty. It's what enables us to keep on ahead despite setbacks. Stoicism imparts lessons on how to be like the reed that bends in the breeze but does not break. Don't withdraw or let your spirits to wither under adversity. Should you do so, you will aggravate the current illness. This reminds us that resilience is about not allowing failure to defeat us, but rather about firmly facing it. See failure as transient if you want to build resilience. Remember too that this too will pass. Look for resilient role models, people who have failed and returned stronger. Their tales can motivate and direction you. The capacity to wait coolly for a desired result is known as patience. It's about realizing that, especially following failure, success and development take time. Keep learning how to live. It is something you will do forever. This reminds us that rather than a destination, life is an odyssey. Failure is often a stepping stone on the road to success. Success is seldom reached overnight. Practice mindfulness to develop patience, rather than obsessing about the future. Stay here in the moment. Honor not only the end result, but also little successes and advancement. Wisdom is the capacity to act and think utilizing knowledge, experience, and sound judgment. Many times, failure offers insightful analysis and teachings that help to foster wisdom. Looking back over the past, and with its shifting empires rising and falling, one might also glimpse the future. This informs us that our past can help us to direct our present activities. Being humbled is the ability to see one's own value in small measure. Often, failure reminds us of our limits and flaws, therefore humbling us. Nobody can start to acquire knowledge on what he believes he already knows. This reminds us that, even in the face of failure, humility is about being receptive to learning and personal development. Practice self-reflection to grow modest. Tell yourself straightforwardly about your advantages and disadvantages. Let others provide you comments. Remember that although failure is inevitable in life, it does not determine your value as a person. Managing one's ideas, feelings, and actions to reach long-term objectives is known as self-control. Many times, failure tries our self-control and entices us to give up or behave impulsively. Marcus Aurelius counseled, "You control your mind, not outer events." Understanding this will help you to discover strength. This reminds us that self-control is about emphasizing our own thoughts and behaviors, which constitute what we can influence. Practice self-discipline and develop self-control. Even in the face of failure, have well-defined objectives and keep to them. Perform personal hygiene. Make sure you are routinely working out, eating well, and sleeping enough. These routines help you to improve your self-control. Start with clearly intending to develop excellent traits and actions in the face of adversity. You wish to develop which traits? Then, seize every setback as a chance to hone these traits. To develop bravery, for instance, act bravely in the face of adversity. Work on developing patience by first treating yourself and the task patiently. Remember, growth takes time. Practice self-patience. You should not expect to change overnight. Every setback and difficulty marks a turn on the path to personal development. Seek help without thinking twice. Friends, relatives, mentors, or even expert advice could all fit here. Sometimes others notice traits in us that we are blind to ourselves. Growing excellent traits and behaviors is about getting more robust and anti-fragile. Not only about improving oneself, it's about turning a stumbling block, failure, into a stepping stone. Keep in mind that the aim is to develop through failure rather than to avoid it. Every setback gives you a chance to grow smarter, stronger, and more moral. Accept failure, then leverage it as a development catalyst. Since that is the Stoic approach,